On today's show, we'll discuss the psychopath Yuval Noah Harari, the proclaimed prophet and right hand man of Klaus Schwab, both with too much money and too much time on their hands, and both with the goal of changing your God given DNA for the purpose of re engineering human life. And you won't want to miss my special Friday segment of Ask Dr. Jane, answering your questions from my Telegram channel. And today I'm launching a very special new Friday segment called Natural Health Series. This will be an exploration of the gifts of the earth already available to us and previously and wholeheartedly suppressed by the pharmaceutical industry and governments worldwide. The time to create and protect your optimal health is now. This is the Dr. Jane Ruby Show, and you're about to enter Truth in Medicine. I love having Clay Clark come back to the Dr. Jane Ruby Show because we talk about a lot of things that maybe others are not focusing on right now. And it all goes back to the cabal, what's happening, why are these things happening in such a lockstep nature all over the country and the world. But we have so many things to talk about today, and I'm really excited to bring him back to the show. Clay, how are you today?
I am fired up, and I'm joined here with my right-hand man, Aaron Antis, who runs Oklahoma's largest home building company when he's not helping me organize speakers at the Reawaken America tour for the low price of a free $99. None of us take any income or salary from these events.
Well,
and Aaron,
before we can't see Aaron. Like I can see his fabulous shoulder, but that's it. So you guys might want to, we don't want to miss him because I know he's going to have some really fun stuff to talk about. There you go. You guys are perfect. Sometimes when we switch between, the single screen to the double, we lose the other guest. So I want him in there because we had a lot of fun the last time, Aaron, right?
Oh, for sure. It was great.
Yeah. So let's start really quick, and then we'll talk about it again at the end. But let's talk about the tour, how it's going, and what's coming up. We know what's coming up next month, but I want you to tell folks some exciting news about it. The May tour.
Well, it's kind of a tour, Dr. Jane Ruby, that everybody on the tour feels like we need to do. It's not something that we aspired to do.
Right.
We call it it's the Reawaken America tour. So it really comes down to there's the Great Reset. I'll hold up the book here. The Great Reset. This is a book written by Klaus Schwab, which is a book literally calling for the ending of all personal property, the ending of all personal body sovereignty, the ending of eating meat, the moving into a one world government. It's called the Great Reset. And then there is this tour called the Great Reawakening. Yeah. And to my knowledge, every time that we do an event, we just did the event in Oregon. Yep. I talked to virtually 5,000 people. I get there early and I try to shake everyone's hand. So an audience of 5,000 people, I bet you I meet 1,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
And I always ask them two questions. I say, how did you hear about the event? And they might say, I heard about it on, Stu Peters, or I heard about it on And We Know, or from a friend or whatever. And then I always ask them this. I say, what have you learned so far that you didn't know? And to my shock, the vast majority of the people that attend the Reawaken America tour don't know 90% of the things that we discuss. So we discuss election fraud, medical fraud, religious fraud, monetary fraud, mainstream media fraud, what's inside the COVID-19 shots, all of that. But people keep asking me increasingly, Dr. Jane, they say, who is leading the Great Reset? Who is the person who's actually implementing this plan? Who's the one who casts the vision? In the Bible, it says, without a vision, the people will perish. Yep. Who's the one casting this satanic vision for the world? And I tell them, well, it's Yuval Noah Harari and his right-hand man, Klaus Schwab. And I bet you every time, maybe one out of 1,000 people, someone will say, oh, yeah, I know who Yuval Noah Harari is. But almost nobody knows who he is, which is why right now we are just obsessively focused on making sure that every single person on this planet hears the name Yuval Noah Harari and you hear the name Klaus Schwab, because you have to know their plan, what their plan is all about. And then you say, well, how's the tour going? We're going to do this tour up through November, and the purpose is to wake people up, because in America, my friends, we have 15 million Americans, Dr. Jane, 15 million Christian Americans that aren't even registered to vote.
Right.
It's according to Christian Broadcasting Network,
it's insane.
15 million Christians. Yeah.
It's insane. Now listen, I want to, before I ask you a couple of questions about this, because you've been tracking this guy and his activities for quite a while. I want to play about a minute of a clip where he talks about how, this is not a lot has changed in technology, but now we have the chance to change genes and change human beings. Let me just play that clip for the audience, and then we'll get back to it. Let's roll that clip now.
Greatest revolution in the history of humanity. This will be the greatest revolution in biology since the very beginning of life 4 billion years ago. For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed.
Not playing God, are you? Because that usually works out super well.
Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some God above the clouds.
The audacity of talking about how he's going to change the world. Clay, like I said, you've been tracking this guy for quite a while. How do you think these guys, Harari and Klaus Schwab, how are they reining in the entire planet? I don't get it. I'm an analyst. I need to know how they're doing it.
I'm going to explain this to you, and then Aaron, you feel free to interrupt me if what I'm saying doesn't make any sense. Because I've been studying this guy for so long, I want to make sure that I communicate it succinctly. Klaus Schwab in 1970-ish, he started the World Economic Forum. And the World Economic Forum is an organization where he offers people copious amounts of money to prostitute out their position of authority and leadership in exchange for implementing his wishes.
True.
So some of the more notable names that Klaus Schwab openly has control/influence over include Kevin Trudeau from Canada, Merkel from Germany. Check this out. Bono from U2. Oh, that hurt me when I found that out. Yeah. The Pope actually agreed, per request of Klaus Schwab, to host a transhumanism meeting of the minds at the Vatican. Talk about that. Another example would be Rick Warren of the world. Rick Warren, the author of Purpose-Driven Life, Purpose-Driven Church. Check this out. Rick Warren. Remember this, folks. Please follow me on this. Rick Warren is the one that convinced many evangelicals to vote for Barack Hussein Obama.
That's true.
Barack Obama would not have become the president of the United States if it weren't for Rick Warren to endorse him and say that he is bona fide as a Christian. Now, check this out. Rick Warren is a member of the World Economic Forum, and this just in. Guess who introduced Yuval Noah Harari to the world, the man who is now known as the prophet by Bill Gates, Zuckerberg, Harvard, Stanford, TED Talks, New York Times. Yuval Noah Harari. Guess who introduced him to the world?
Oh, tell us.
Barack Hussein Obama told the world that he is one of the most influential thought leaders of our time.
Yes, he did.
And now at the 2018 and the 2020 World Economic Forum event, where they gather the world's elite, including, by the way, Joe Biden, Leonardo DiCaprio, etc., you should hear the intro. If you go to YouTube, folks, and type in Yuval Noah Harari, 2018 World Economic Forum, they introduced this man like he is a prophet and as though he knows the future. And in fact, he is a historian. He's Israeli. And Dr. Jane Ruby, when asked directly, as recently as 2 days ago, I saw an interview. They asked him, what is a historian? What is your job as you see it? He said, my job is to see the past and the future. I see change. I see the past and the future. And now they're calling him the prophet. This is Yuval Noah Harari.
Look, I want to pull apart some of this. So you're basically saying the World Economic Forum is a vehicle that they're using to kind of infiltrate the world and to reset to their, to their sick agenda.
Right.
One concern I have, I get a lot of comments on my social media channel about how, the Jews own everything. It's the Jews. They're running this thing. And I'm thinking to myself, there are like several million of them that are, that have been victimized. So one of the things I said, interesting point where the audio was lost. What I was saying was, I get the World Economic Forum is acting as a vehicle for this lockstep nature and kind of taking over and pushing us to the Great Reset using this guy, Harari, who we're going to get into more in a minute. But I get a lot of comments on my Telegram channel. I have almost 100,000 people on that channel. And a lot of them keep saying over and over again, why are so many Jews involved? And I don't know if you know the answer to this, but I've said to them, look, there are millions of Jews that were victimized by this shot. So Albert Bourla, who is apparently the CEO of Pfizer, apparently is the grandson or something of Holocaust survivors, and yet he's pushing his poisonous. So is it just, I mean, we got the Pope. This is a very bad Pope.
He's a comment on this. Okay. I'm going to comment on this. This is just a comment I want to share that hopefully this makes sense. You are a doctor that spoke at the Reawaken America tour in Phoenix, and you received thunderous applause. And you, just for your listeners to know, you charged me $0 to come and speak. All these wonderful speakers are not doing this to make money. No. And you are a wonderful doctor, and you got up there and shared the absolute truth about what was in the vaccines for no other reason than to help awaken America. That's why you did it. I'm saying that on the record. There it is. That being said, there are many doctors, most doctors that I've met this year who I've talked to personally, Dr. Jane Ruby. I've spoke to them, and I've said to them, why will you not share with your audience, your center of influence? They don't have a show, but they're doctors. Yeah. Why won't you tell your patients what's inside the COVID-19 vaccines? And this is going to blow your mind for the listeners out there. I have heard the doctors tell me themselves that they make somewhere between $20,000, and Aaron, you've heard it from the stage recently, I have heard it. Between $20,000 and $60,000 a month to not tell people what is inside the COVID-19 vaccines. And they say they work at a COVID hospital and they can't talk about it, or they lose their $60,000 a month. So that being said, I'm not going to say that all doctors are bad or all doctors are good. I'm just going to say some doctors are bad, some doctors are good, and some people, for the love of money, can be corrupted. So back to the Jew question. There are many people who are born of Israeli heritage who are wonderful people. Many people born in Jewish heritage who are wonderful people. Many people who are not. But people who are corrupted by the love of money are people that are the problem. And so in the case of Klaus Schwab, he comes from a Nazi heritage, not an Israeli heritage, not a Jewish heritage, and he is the head of the World Economic Forum. As it relates to Yuval Noah Harari, he actually is Israeli. For anybody who's out there who's a big Bible scholar, folks, I encourage you to look this up. This will blow your mind, okay? Yuval Noah Harari. Aaron, Yuval means descendant of Cain.
Yeah.
Noah means mountain. Or I'm sorry, Harari means mountain. Yeah. There's Noah. So Yuval, descendant of Cain. Noah Harari means mountain. Aaron, he doesn't eat meat.
He doesn't.
He's openly gay.
Yes, he is.
He rejects the God of his fathers. I'm quoting him. He wants to re-engineer sex life. He wants to put surveillance under the skin. He wants to genetically modify all babies.
He wants to hack human beings.
He wants to hack human beings. He wants to end free will.
Animals, he calls them.
He wants to enter us into the beast system, he calls it.
Well, don't miss part 2 of my interview with Clay Clark on these globalist monsters and what we can do about it. You'll see it next week. It'll be for premium members. So if you're not already a member, hurry and sign up at redvoicemedia.com/premium. You won't want to miss the second half of this explosive discussion.